Hello guys and gals, me Muta, and ladies and gentlemen, today's video is going down a little dark YouTube rabbit hole, a little mystery one if you will, one that's left a few people a bit stumped. Now ladies and gentlemen, 14 hours ago on my Reddit board, Some Ordinary Gamers, I found a post. I am terrified. I was watching random YouTube video, and someone told me to edit the YouTube link only by removing the H from watch, so it becomes Watts instead. Press enter and see where it leads you. This is horrifying. Now, of course, this YouTube account over here was watching one of my videos. Thank Minecraft for banning NFTs. Now, of course, you can see up in the YouTube URL, they asked you to remove the H. So to which I wanted to actually redo this experiment to see what was actually going on. Could it be any video? And it turns out it is. So I went to the most wholesome video on the platform, ASMR using my frog telephone to call my divorced wife. It has about 1.3 million views and it was uploaded 1 year ago by Dank Gaming 420 Blaze It. So of course, opening this entire page, first things first, what we have to do is look into the URL and replace the H and get rid of it. And once we do that and hit enter, it takes us to one of the creepier videos on the platform. Now you might remember this if you watched deep web browsing. This video is 666 uploaded by YouTube user Nana. Now if you don't remember Nana is actually a horror channel that covers some wild sort of story, some wild YouTube art if you will. Right here, Nana 825763, whose last video was actually 2 months ago, where they were playing Minecraft, but of course, they're definitely just making a bunch of other bits of content. They were one of their most popular videos, for anybody who doesn't know, was username 666, which is a video uploaded in 2008, way back when basically they went from going to youtube.com/666, constantly refreshing it until eventually they came across this really decrepit page. Of course, it was a YouTube ARG, a YouTube creepy video that one could watch. Absolutely great to revisit from time to time. Now, of course, it led me down wondering what happens if we remove other letters from this. So we removed the H, right? But what if we remove the C, for instance, and hit enter?
We're no strangers to love.
What the fuck was that? Minecraft YouTube video, high pixel, whatever you want to call it. So again, there are multiple avenues for us to go down. And of course, last but not least, before we end up, let's remove the W. This takes us to one error. So of course, 2 errors, 2 creepy redirects to Nana's, horror video, and then 1 Minecraft video. So why is it that when we alter the words watch, it causes some serious issues? Well, even if we go to the word watch and we replace it with short, for instance, it'll take us to the Minecraft video in this case. So realistically, just by altering the words before this question mark, this is what causes some serious issues and redirects us to these rather creepy pages. Now, of course, in understanding just what was happening, let's go back to the first creepy page. So let's remove the H once again and be redirected to this horror section. Now, of course, right after this, you can see that the URL is slightly different. There's watch $V equals, then this long video ID. And of course, ampersand app equals true. So first thing that I want to do is I want to go right to this channel, 666. There are 2 videos uploaded on this channel, both 3 months ago. The channel itself was founded in 2018. Now, of course, if we go to the channel section over here, one of the culprits that gets uncovered is Uluomo. Now, this takes me to another little sub-investigation. Now, the sub-investigation took me to a Reddit board known as Jack Sucks at Life, a Reddit board dedicated to the YouTuber Jack Massey. Now, of course, they basically had a similar issue. If you change the H and C from watch, basically if you remove C and H and just get what, you can basically find out that it takes you to a special video over here. Now, of course, you start to see the name Uluomo, which we just saw on the 666 page. So, of course, Uluomo is a connecting feature to this entire thing. Again, even researching into time work submissions, which we just saw on the Reddit page in the Jack Reddit board, the subreddit there, it takes us to another page that shows us other channels that are known as YouTube glitchers. So what is a YouTube glitcher? Well, to understand, a lot of what makes up text on the internet is done in Unicode, which is a standard all over, okay? Now, of course, with Unicode, there are millions, okay, up to, I think it's like 1.1 million, different Unicodes that you can use, Unicode-like prints. And of course, there are channels all the way talking about types of glitch channels, which in this case shows you that using certain Unicode letters, Unicode glitches, you can basically break certain YouTube channels. What they're effectively doing is they're basically creating invisible text that is not recognized by your browser, but it still actually exists. So again, by using Unicode that doesn't technically exist to the naked eye, they're able to break channels and break parts of YouTube, if you will. You can start to see they broke a certain channel by basically replicating a channel in the channel page for YouTube. Now, of course, the way that this works is if you go to the Iluomo channel like we saw earlier, it's 5,080 subscribers strong. And of course, they only have 2 videos. They claim to be the 40th oldest account on YouTube. And of course, if you go to the About page, they were formed in 2005, which makes them really old. Absolutely. This is like YouTube's formation, it seems. And of course, they're located all the way in Spain. Actually, wait a second. Let me see when YouTube was formed. Yeah, February 14, 2005 is when YouTube launched. So literally, they created their account, what, like a couple months after YouTube was formed? And of course, if you go to their playlists, you can see they have nothing. You go to their videos, they basically have these videos from a year ago, 4 months ago. And of course, when you go to the About section, we just saw that. But if you go to the channels, this is when it starts to get freaky. You can see literally, because of broken Unicode, they are replicating constant channels. And of course, you click on any of these channels, you'll find out that they were taken to a user known as iLuomo. And if you look at their actual YouTube URL, you can see that their URL is WhatHC. So again, if you know anything about YouTube, you know that in your channel customization tab, you can create custom URLs after a certain point in your channel's growth. So for me, I have youtube.com/c/someordinarygamers. I can change this to anything that I want. But in this case, it seems like the channel actually took WATHC and used that as a custom URL. But see, that still doesn't explain why we got redirected to 666 or creepy videos. How did that even happen? So here I opened up a video from one of my favorite channels, Alternate History Hub, and in this case, if you look closely at the URL pages, I'm going to explain how this works, okay, to the best of my ability. Again, without looking at the back end of YouTube, I can't really explain all these things with a complete 100% certainty, but I can teach you a few new things. Now, of course, in one of these videos, alright, in both of these videos, you can start to see that after the letters youtube.com, there's a slash. The slash is going to lead us to the next page within the YouTube domain. And in this case, it's the watch page. Now, the watch page appears to be the same page regardless of wherever, right? It's not though that they're making different watches, they're effectively using the same watch page, but of course after it you start to see a question mark, which serves as a separator. Now, of course, after the separator, it depends on what your site has code, depending on like what the back end of your website looks. After this, they're going to have certain different commands, certain arguments that is only going to be used after that question mark to lead to certain site-specific functions. So in YouTube site's case, after the question mark and after the watch page, they have a function where they call a V, which is video, and the video is equaling something. So that something is this video ID. And of course, for any video you use, it has a different unique video ID. So I can take the video ID from this page, copy that, and go to this other YouTube video, and as long as after the equal sign I just change that ID, I'm effectively going to a different video. They're not necessarily making new watch pages every time you upload a video. Each video gets given a unique identification on the YouTube server. And once YouTube actually feeds this into the URL page, once your browser feeds this specific argument in, basically what's happening is YouTube is drumming up a watch page and giving you a specific video depending on whatever the argument is passed, right? Now, of course, anything after that question mark is null and void. Basically, you can type in a bunch of random gibberish, and if YouTube can't process it or the function doesn't exist, YouTube is set to effectively redirect you back to the home page. Now, of course, YouTube has a bunch of different functionalities. You can even change this argument right after to something like Muta equals something. Because there's no function site specifically for Muta, it's just going to redirect me all the way back to the beginning, right? So effectively what's happening is ignore after the question mark, okay? Forget that even existed. If you just go to the watch page, you'll start to see /watch, which can't be taken as a custom URL because That would be really wild if somebody could take /watch and turn it into their channel name. It would kind of break the site. It would literally break the site overnight. So because /watch, it's a simple redirect back to the website. So again, what's happening is after that initial slash, whatever shows up, right, is what YouTube is trying to redirect you to at some extent, right? So if I type in some ordinary gamers, right, with $V = whatever, what it's going to do is it's going to take me to my channel, and it's going to ignore everything after the question mark because it's not site specific. There's no logical function to call, right? So that's pretty much how it's happening. So again, to summarize, what it seems like is YouTube's like WATC, right, is basically taking us to this specific video. So again, that channel, and this is where I don't understand one thing. It should typically take you to a channel page. What it's doing is it's redirecting you to this specific video with this string of characters right after. And again, I have to imagine there's something to do with Unicode kerfuffling that's actually causing this weird string to happen afterwards. So that kind of explains roughly what YouTube rabbit hole you're going down. Typically after that in the URL, the way that it's written, something is going on with the custom redirection, the custom URL. Somebody has taken a custom URL and basically made it appear so that it takes you to a creepy side, which has spawned the birth of one of these darker YouTube rabbit holes. So don't be scared, don't be worried. Somebody is just playing some shenanigans on you through YouTube's URL system and YouTube's redirects. Hopefully that's the case. Again, without looking at the exact back end of the website, I can only make educated guesses. So ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you learned something today. Hopefully you weren't too spooked out. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it if you dislike it. I am